pulling some drag off the Okuma.
Oh, nice one.
Pretty cool. Hey guys and gals, if you like what you see here, go to the Rick Murphy YouTube channel and you can see how we're doing this. And Brie just hooked up on a fish too.
Hear him drumming?
Yeah, it's going crazy, I think.
That's a nice one.
Coming. There you got it. Here, I'll take that.
Good job, Captain. Good job, Brie.
Beautiful. Swim for us, baby. Such a good day.
Hey gang, Captain Jim Ross here for the Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm your Central East Captain, and whenever you guys and gals get a chance to see the show, obviously I'm the Central East guy, so if you're coming to the Central East region anytime in January or February, this is kind of what we're looking at right now this time of the year if you want to catch some fish. We typically get back in these wind protected areas. Water's a little deeper in many cases in some of these residential canals, things of that nature. And we typically fish the drop-offs and then up underneath the mangroves. Now to do that, some of the things that we like to throw are weedless baits. And this time of the year, shrimp are a prominent fish or shellfish that the predator fish are feeding on. So Assassin makes a 4-inch saltwater Assassin shrimp cocktail, and we typically rig that on a weighted worm hook like this. That way we can skip it up under the mangrove roots and get it to come back out, working it real slowly. Sometimes we'll add a little bit of fish bite to it or some bang scent, and that helps with the scent factor for the fish like redfish and black drum that do like to smell what they're eating. Trout are a little more reactionary, and so for the trout a lot of times we'll throw something that looks a little bit more like a bait fish. This saltwater Assassin 4-inch sea shad is an example. It's sort of a pilchard color, glass minnow pilchard kind of a color, and that greenback silver belly seems to work really well in the the fall and winter times of the year. Once again, we're using a relatively light jig head because you don't really want it to fall very quickly away from the fish or down the edges of the drop-offs. And if you start at the top of the drop-off and just drop that bait down, as it's coming down, it can it can flutter on the way down, it stops, lift it, let it flutter on the way down, stop. So you're working it down that drop-off. And typically the trout are either going to be right at the top of the drop-off or about 2/3 of the way down towards the bottom. They either like to sit up top when it's sunny or down below when it's got a little more shade or is an overcast kind of a day. And that particular bait does a lot of work for us. We also will tip this as well with a live shrimp or a little piece of shrimp, and the black drum, redfish, sheephead will also take a bite out of that. The other thing that we like to do this time of the year is in between cold fronts, the fish will move out of these areas and they'll move to the adjacent flats that are pretty close to these deeper water areas. And a saltwater Assassin salty snack or something of that nature that can be worked very, very slowly on a weedless weighted worm hook, or in this case, I'm just using a 5/0 weedless hook without a weight on it because once again, I want that bait to fall very slowly, almost be neutral buoyant or like a suspending type of a jerkbait. And with this type of a setup, I can cast it out. I can work it a little quicker along the top to imitate a fish that's moving along, a bait fish that's moving on, or I can just let it fall and flutter and suspend. And the pinfish, pigfish do this a little more. So if you're trying to imitate them, if you've got them in your area, then this bait will do that very, very well. Some of the other things that we like to throw, obviously live shrimp. If you really like to catch pompano, we've got a good bite of pompano around the Sebastian Inlet area most of the time in February, a little bit into January, but a lot in February. And those fish will get around the back of the inlet. So goofy jigs seem to work really well. Sand fleas tipped on a jig, or sand fleas on a 2-drop rig, or even a 3-drop type rig, or you can simply put them on a sliding sinker rig and just fish them stationary on the bottom. That's a great way to catch pompano, especially in that Sebastian area. Up to the north at Ponce Inlet, because that's also in the Central East region, The guys up there have a tendency to go more on the big side. We've got big bull redfish up there, we've got some sharks up there, and we've got some big black drum. And pretty much all three will hit cut bait, but if you're specifically trying to target those big bull reds inside the inlet or those big black drum inside the inlet, a crushed crab, a half a crab works really well. Now, one of the tips that I would suggest is put it on a big circle hook, about a 7/0 or 8/0 size circle hook, seems to work really well. But get live crab as opposed to frozen crab. Live crab just seems to, it's almost 2 to 1 the number of strikes that you'll get on live crab versus a pre-frozen or a dead crab. And I don't know why, but you know, that's just, I guess it's got a better smell to it. As I'm trying to do my report, Brie's on the front of the boat right now, and she's just casting a saltwater assassin up there, and she just actually caught a trout, fishing it along the mangroves here. So you guys and gals, you can tell even when we get out there, even in the afternoon, this type of lures will work. So Brie was throwing the magic grass colored saltwater assassin tail, and the reason that we're finding that tail's working pretty good is you saw the color of the water there in that short little clip of video, and that bright tail seems to be standing out, and it's allowing this trout to key in on that bait. She's just casting down the shoreline and just swimming it right back up the edge of that drop-off that we talked about earlier, and it's working pretty good. Now, a lot of times we don't get a chance to get offshore this time of the year, and unfortunately, you know, with all the wind that we typically have in the wintertime, we just fish inshore waters. But on occasion, we do get a chance to get outside, and depending on your water temperature, you're really going to find a good day's bite out there or a slow day's bite out there along the near shore waters. So if the water temperature is between about 68 and 72 degrees, which it happens to be as we're recording right now, there seems to be a lot of triple tail. There's also good bluefish action, there's good Spanish mackerel action, and good pompano action right within a couple of miles of the beach or right at the surf break. Farther offshore, on those days that we can get out there, sailfish bite is still pretty strong. King mackerel bite, especially on 8/8 and Pelican Flats Reef, and then the high bar out of Sebastian. Very, very strong kingfish bites on most days. And every once in a while, like we've had this past week, you get an opportunity where you get sailfish that are showing up as well. I talked with one captain, and they actually switched over from their kingfish gear or kingfish rigs. They put some ballyhoo out. They had a triple hookup on the high bar region just north of Sebastian. So there's some pretty darn good fishing here in the wintertime. A lot of people, a lot of places put their boats away. You know, this time of the year, we just sleep in a little bit, eat a little breakfast, drink some coffee, get out on the water at 9 or 10, and fish until 2 or 3, and come back home with a lot of fish normally. And that's the type of activities that we like to do in the wintertime. There's no sense putting your boat away when you can get out there and continue to catch fish. So, like I said, if you're in the Central East region this time of the year, check out the audio reports that we do on the Florida Insider Fishing Report every single week. We do 3 or 4 every single week, and you guys can see what's going on up to the minute almost. But don't forget, you know, this area is a great fishery in the wintertime. So you don't have to give up your fishing. You can still do it all the way through the winter here in the Central East region of the state.